It's Guy from Canada, and we're talking about just the how youth are become involved in with gangs or and gang activity or gang association. And it usually, well, it started in my life at a very young age. I'd run away from home. I felt abandonment and started using substances, and then was approached by different gang members saying to me, like, they were much older than me. And so the grooming process started, where they make you feel very welcome. They have money, they have authority. You could see it. You could see their swagger. It was very appealing to a person that didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And eventually, was holding drugs or doing crime with them. And then they would show me a few things to do, which one for me was breaking into houses. The other one was drug running for them to deliver drugs to different people. And we're talking, I was at that time 14 years old. And so they'd also groom me as well to say, like, listen, if we get caught, we'll go to jail, because they were adults for years and years. But for you probably go away for 6 months to a year. And we'll take care of you as well if you go to prison. So I really didn't even really think of that I would go to prison. But what I did think of is that I felt this sense of belonging. And to me, that's just what I was searching for. And then obviously, I was up against, gang intelligence officers, which, when you're a young kid, you're really undermatched because of the surveillance that they have was astronomical. I mean, they could basically tell me what I did over the last 8-month period. And to me, I, was always told, your main thing is don't rat on us, which is snitch. And if you do, there's heavy consequences. And I'd seen those consequences that happened to other people. And so for me, I ate it and went to jail, but they never helped me when I was in jail. And then when I got out, they also said, oh yeah, no, we had to pack up and do something else. And you could really, it was really disappointment. And then I was always involved with different gangs and associated through, one of their things that they obviously do is the drug trade, the money laundering. They had gambling facilities. Yeah. So one of the things that happens in my life and others' lives is when you're involved in gang activity is, they give you large amounts of drugs, and like I said, it's inevitable to run into law enforcement eventually. And when I did, you're caught with, thousands of dollars of drugs by the police, arrested, thrown in jail. That doesn't mean your debt's cleared. That's actually their way of pulling you in deeper, because you're now working, selling drugs to pay off that debt. And it's not one of those things that you can get away from and say, well, I don't want to do it no more. It's like, I'll tell you, organized crime doesn't care about people. They care about one thing and one thing only. It's money and economics. And if you owe them money, you're indebted to them until that debt's paid. And I'll tell you, they'll find ways to keep you in debt as well. So it's one of those things that we really have to look at with the legalization of drugs. Because sadly, this is continuing to evolve and continue over decades and decades, and it'll continue until our leaders actually start to lead and end the drug war. I mean, at the time in the 1990s, I was actually the only white guy hanging around Chinese gang members, which was the Lotus Gang in Vancouver. And doing, a lot of the drug trade for them. Basically, they'd give you the drugs. You'd have an area where you could sell them, and people wouldn't touch you. But if you went into other areas, it was different back then where it was segregated. So your life was at risk. And, for me, I'm actually, one of the lucky ones that got out without, getting killed. Many of the people that I'd ran with in the 80s and 90s are dead. Obviously, for me, I had my own demons with substance use. And, at a lot of the times, I can even remember the guy that I was under and worked for, he brought me to detox to try to help me. And he just basically said, you're going to have to make a choice, whether it's the drugs or this lifestyle, because you can't do both. You can't do the drugs and have it. And, I'd fallen on hard times with my drug use. And obviously for me, it was, he gave me the ability to choose that. And he was the one that kind of treated me with the most respect. And a lot of the other gang associates were more shocked because he kind of protected me. I was white, obviously. Even gang squad members in Vancouver used to just be so shocked that there was a white guy hanging around a Chinese gang. But, one of the things with youth today, I know there's a lot of grooming that goes on. They're selling drugs, and it's the glamorization of the lifestyle. And if you're a youth that, wants to fit in with somewhere, I mean, it's very, very appealing. Obviously the money that, you can make from selling drugs, and just the social status that you feel as a youth. I tell you, it's very, very challenging to let go of. And one of the solutions that I often think about is that our approach and how we present it to people. Youth are going to follow their peers off of the best advice in the world, no matter what. Eventually, no matter best parenting or best interventions and best intentions, eventually all that gets thrown out the window for acceptance and belonging. And so, we have a lot of work to do to move forward to really, and boredom. Boredom is a huge thing, and poverty, and even people that have money, obviously get involved. I mean, with drugs, you meet somebody associated with some gang eventually. And if you're involved in using drugs, even part-time, one of the things that we really need to look at is ending we need to legalize the drugs, because this would actually, put an end to a lot of it. And that's just something that's, one of those things that I know there's all the best intentions of society. Unfortunately, people fall into that. And then what happens with that is, your life can get derailed. I think, it's either prison, death, are pretty much the options. And if you become a gang member, that's very challenging to get out of that lifestyle as well. And it's one of those things that we have to really do as a society to really protect our youth from falling into those cracks. And they will, I've seen them, standing around schools and, meeting generations of youth, and that continues today across the world. And unfortunately, it needs to, we need to look at doing better as a society and a community to support our youth, because they're the ones that are struggling the most with this.